Hello, everybody, and welcome to the October edition of Product Talk. This month, we're going to be talking cybersecurity. It's Cybersecurity Month, obviously. So, stoked for our agenda today. We're going to be chatting about security in the Automox product. So, not how you as an IT or security person uses the product to get a security outcome, but actually like what we're doing here at Automox to ensure that you hopefully have one less potential supply chain issue to be concerned about in the tool suite that you use. So joining me today to talk about this pretty big topic, honestly, is our staff security engineer, Henry Smith. Welcome, Henry. Super stoked to have you on today. So before we get into our main event, if you will, which is kind of this secure by default topic that we'll be discussing around the Automox product itself, wanted to just take a little bit of time to learn about Henry's career path. I know a lot of you listening are probably of an IT and security background, and obviously Henry is one of those people too. So, Henry, if you could just get us started with a quick professional background, what you were doing before coming over to Automox and what you do here.
Sure, sounds good. So yeah, if you watch our podcast, you've probably seen me, Henry, just keeping Automox safe. And I know that's a really opaque answer, but it's honestly the truth for what we do. Our team's responsibilities feel like they change regularly, with the business. So we kind of touch everything you can think of, or at least we're involved in one way or another. But as for kind of a professional background, so I took kind of the path that a lot of folks take where they start in IT just working in tech support. So actually my first real technical job was working for an MSP that local in the area. And funny enough, I actually found them on Reddit. I posted on the local subreddit and was like, hey, I'm 18 and I really want to work in IT and I don't want to go through school and I just want to work. It's like, help. And he reached out to me via like private messaging and asked me a couple of questions in my resume, and the rest was history. So, I worked kind of in tech for several years, and then I was eventually bit by what I like to call the security bug. So I just, one of the MSPs I was working for, I really took a liking for the security side of things and started to dig in more, and then found certifications. I ended up taking a class. I'm getting a certification, the GSEC certification, just to kind of start out. And then the next thing you know, I was a security engineer over at Datto, starting out there. And I worked there, gosh, I don't even remember, a couple of years. And now here I am. Been here for like 2.5 years or so. But yeah, that's the
Awesome.
long, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stories like that where people start out in a help desk role in IT because maybe I don't know, maybe you were interested in tech before in
Oh,
IT
yeah.
help desk. I mean, like the Reddit thing is great. I think having talked to a lot of technical people, there's sometimes an aversion to putting yourself out there and maybe
Yep.
making yourself a little bit more vulnerable. But um,
Absolutely.
it seems like it's potentially a huge advantage, right? Because there's obviously a lot of people that maybe stray a little bit more introverted. I'm one of those myself, believe it or not. But if you
I do
can,
not believe that.
I'm an introverted extroverted introvert. I don't know. Like I get my energy from quiet and being alone. I do enjoy
Yes,
extroversion occasionally
same.
though. Yeah. So I think mustering up that courage and just kind of like putting aside what you are worried about what other people may think, etc., could be a potential superpower in landing that first role or landing your next role. Uh,
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Like, you kind of just, I don't want to say that you shouldn't care, but you should have a certain degree of like, I don't care. Like what's going to happen, or like what's like who's going to think what about me from this post, because I really believe that networking is huge, and putting yourself out there. I think I wouldn't be where I am in my career today if it wasn't for like all of the relationships that I've created and built over the years, and all the people that I've learned or not learned, all the people that I've met and learned from and continue to learn from and keep those connections with. So yes, like just putting yourself out there, even if it is really uncomfortable, can give you a huge advantage for sure.
What do you think, when you put that sort of bat signal, or you saw the bat signal out, and you put yourself out there and got that first role, like what kind of questions did you get from that person that brought you on at your first job at an MSP?
So the first couple questions before he even talked to me, the first couple questions were like, I guess kind of give me like a short synopsis like about you, like why do you want to be in IT? Like why do you want this job? Why do you want this role? And I think that's a really good question because as someone who's hiring, on the hiring side, I want to know, like, are you really passionate about this? Like, do you really want this, or is it just kind of like a secondary thing for you? So I don't know if that answered your question or not.
No, I think that's great. I think a lot of the people that I've talked to about some of those professions that people seem to target more, like there's a whole range, right? Like I think IT and security are definitely one of them, maybe software engineering. So then like on the other end, right? Like on the other end of the schooling spectrum, like it's being a doctor or like something like that, right? And I think the common trend that I've noticed talking to those people that are in those professions is like the passion has to exist, and you have to be really interested in the subject matter rather than just maybe the perceived prestige or pay or whatever of those roles, because that stuff kind of on the day to day, at least, I think it wears off pretty quick, especially in IT where you're, probably getting battered on a daily basis by end users.
And it's like a thankless job, or it can feel like that a lot of times, definitely. But
Yeah.
if you can find your own ways to like, I guess, kind of get that happiness or that dopamine, from your day to day, I think that's really important too.
Yeah. And I think the common thread that I've noticed in a lot of people that have, been successful or landed roles or transitioned or moved up fast in an IT or security role, especially, is they're just really interested in tinkering and learning. And almost
Yes.
all of them have some sort of home lab. They've figured
Yep.
out how to do it themselves. They've kind of cut their teeth and suffered a little bit. And that's
Yes.
like when I hop on a call with a customer, like I always, we always small talk about like, what's your home networking setup? What are you messing with right now? Stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's been my topic. Like we just moved into a new house, and I've been kind of getting my network set up, and you know,
Nice.
looking at, I had a network set up before, but it was in this apartment, and I didn't have a ton of room, and now I have a basement, so I can have like a full server room that's
Heck
hidden
yeah.
from the significant other. But
Yep.
I think that kind of thing is a really huge indicator of success I've observed.
I agree wholeheartedly with that too. Experimentation is really important. Like if you can go into an interview and you can talk about like this is what I've done, maybe not professionally, but this is what I've done in my free time. Like this is what I've tinkered with. This is what I've played with. It really shows that you're like truly genuinely interested, and you can speak intelligently to these things. Even if you haven't done it professionally, you might get a question like, how would you handle this? And you can actually answer that. We say like, well, I've never done it before, but based on what I've messed around with on my own time, this is how I would do it. Like that is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So a little bit, you got bit by the security bug, so to speak. What specifically was compelling and convinced you to move from IT to security?
So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So what bit me, I think, really was sifting through logs out of all the things. It's kind of like almost putting together like painting a picture or providing clarity to something that like didn't have it before, and being able to actually like build a timeline of events. Like I took all this evidence from all these different places, and I was able to put this all together and create this timeline of events. So like, this actor, got in this way, and they did this XYZ, and like their tool touched this, and they reached out to this thing, and just kind of like almost being like a sleuth and like putting like a detective and putting that all together. I really loved it, and it was kind of like incident response is really what I wanted to do. And then I learned how stressful that job can be, and I was like, maybe I don't want to do that for my like right away. But so that's what bit me really, was like kind of just being curious and wanting to,
Yeah.
yeah, just being curious.
Yeah. And I think the interesting thing is like a lot of when I talk to people that so one of the things that I do is work with students at my previous university and kind of mentor them. And
Oh,
some are interested in, tech security, stuff like that. And I think one of the common threads I see is people wanting to kind of jump directly into that. And I'm curious from your perspective, how much did you and do you pull from everything that you learned starting out in IT as a security practitioner now?
I'm constantly like, IT is a fundamental to security. And actually, when I got my GSEC certification and I took the SANS class, which I know everyone hears SANS and they're like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. Like, so much money. Disclaimer, I did the work study program. So they have a work study program where instead of like 12 grand or whatever for the whole package, it's, I think, only two, which is a lot of money. But it's like 2 grand and you get everything, like the certification attempt, you get the class, you get the materials and everything. And all you have to do is help out. So like you have to like moderate the class. It was a virtual class. That's all I did. I moderated it. So I like brought the class up and I like took surveys and I pasted the survey link and I was able to get a discounted class. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so
So it's
where
pretty
were
much
we?
it was very much a leading question and because I'm biased there too, right? Like I think that IT and security are almost one and the same, right? I think
Yes.
that security builds upon every single thing you learn in
Yep.
IT as a practitioner. And the other thing that I would encourage people, if you're listening now and you haven't started out, maybe you're in school, is like go to your school, and I guarantee you there are like 30 plus, depending on the size of your school, right? IT administrator type positions where you like are at the school and you're like helping with the library stuff to like administer those computers. And like, yes, you're probably extremely cheap labor, but the stuff that you learn doing that is massive. Like you're basically getting an additional potentially free education. Obviously, you're probably paying for university too, but um, that's huge in my opinion with that hands-on experience. And like I think certifications are really important, but you need the practical experience on top of that. And I'm sure you probably pulled from that a lot. And the certification was a really nice authentication that like, yes, I know what I'm doing. This backs up all my other experience.
Yeah, I do agree with pretty much everything you said. Is that, experience and hands on experience really is king in my experience, at least. And to your point, the certification can be really helpful, but I think it's important to do research on what certification you're going for and make sure it is a well vetted certification in the industry. Like, the industry knows it very well. In fact, I would even, if you're looking for a job, start looking at job postings and seeing what kind of certifications that they put on there. That could help you decide what you want to go for. But kind of off topic there. Yes, certifications are important, but I definitely agree. Experiences where
Sweet.
it's at.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think in summary, right, for those of you that are maybe trying to break into the industry or are figuring out what your next step may look like, I think basically the summary of what we just talked about is network and put yourself out there, have that hunger to learn new stuff and back it
Yes.
up. maybe on
Yeah,
your own time to an extent, and then figure out what other people are looking for in the positions that you want to target, and pursue that education as well. So I think that's a great actionable advice for folks that are considering, trying to break in or looking at what their next step may look like.
definitely. I really feel like security and IT too, they're both really for like the lifetime learner. And that's really what drew me in. It was like you're never gonna learn everything.
Yeah,
It's never gonna happen.
yeah,
No matter how hard you try, you will never learn everything. And that is a lifelong challenge that I want to go for the rest of my life. So I think that too is what drew me in.
Henry, I totally agree. I think there's a specific type of person that I see be real successful in the space, and it's those people that just never want to be bored. They always want to have
Yes.
something else to pursue and a next step to learn. So
Yep.
if you are somebody that wants like a very defined, consistent, never changing role, then perhaps this isn't the best fit. It still could be, right? There's still good
There are
definitions.
roles out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think for those of you that maybe feel like you want to keep learning, you are interested in technology and the new trends, like this is really potentially something you should look at as a career path, because you'll likely never be bored.
Yeah, no, you won't. You won't. I promise.
Excellent. Well, let's get into kind of the topic of the day, which is the product security. So, like, why we're talking about this month, right? Apart from it being cybersecurity month, is really some findings that we've seen over the last year in the Verizon data breach investigations report. Which, by the way, in the vein of the previous conversation, if you're interested in breaking into the industry, probably worth being familiar with this report. It has probably the most comprehensive data source of data breaches released by Verizon. Yes, that Verizon, they do a great job on the report. Um, and they found that 30% of all confirmed incidents last year had some sort of a third party tool involvement. So that could be a tool that you use as an IT or security team to administer your environment. It could be something like, Adobe or Chrome, et cetera. So almost a third of all incidents had some sort of involvement from a third party tool. So securing those tools, and then also stuff that you don't directly control, like SaaS based tools, which is the vast majority of what most companies use now today, because they're much easier to administer. You have more cutting edge features, etc. Um, it's really important that you vet what those tools are doing to secure their own platforms, because you have very little control um, over their security. So you need to make sure that you trust the teams that are responsible for building those tools.
Definitely, yeah. Just like doing those vendor reviews, during procurement. Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yeah, I think so. And I think taking a good look at the vendor reviews and not just like asking ChatGPT to generate a questionnaire list because your boss told you to, and then just like tossing that directly into the trash once you get it. Um, that's that's pretty important. That's an interesting topic that I think, as Henry and I prep for this, we didn't even cover was vendor reviews, right? Like I think that a lot of the vendor reviews that I've seen, um, the questions are very superficial, and they're like, "Do you have SOC 2? Do you have
Yes.
this other random certification?" And like
Yeah.
sometimes the intent of the questions, there's like really not a lot of understanding behind
Yeah.
what the purpose of that is supposed to be.
It's very much a checkbox exercise or a security
Yeah,
theater.
yeah. Um, so that's probably an entirely. I'm sure if
Yes.
we had Jason on, that would be, a 30-minute rant potentially. Um,
Or Ryan
and
too. Yeah. He has a lot to say about that.
Yeah, that would be a great. We should cover that topic in the future because that would be really interesting. Maybe like a how-to on how to structure those security reviews to actually be meaningful.
I think it's perfect timing to do that because Tom, Ryan, and Jason are all kind of doing something around that. Like we're building an
Nice.
internal tool for that. So
Oh, great. Okay, so if you're listening and that's interesting to you, keep an eye out because we'll probably do that podcast at some point in the next couple of months here. That's a great idea. So taking a step back, right outside of just reviews, right? I think I want to talk a little bit about why we think we're different from a security perspective, and hopefully after today's conversation with Henry, you'll agree with us. But we really have a three-pronged approach, right? One of them is just overall engineering and company culture around security at Automox, which I think we'll spend the most time on. The other two are not having a security tax. This is massive. So, like Jason, as we've mentioned, Jason Kicht is our chief technology officer. He oversees security, IT, engineering, and product. He has a very robust security background, and he is very passionate about no security tax. So things like SSO, MFA, uh, RBAC, custom roles, all these security features that some companies kind of divvy out and put in the top tier and they make you pay extra for, we include for all tiers, regardless of which one you purchase, because we believe that these are truly foundational
yes,
features for
it's
our
one of the reasons I
customers.
love working here. Just want to put that
Yeah.
out there. I love that we do that. It means a lot to me because
Yeah.
I
And
don't know if I could. Uh, it
yeah,
just gives me yeah.
it's it's not great to force a trade-off between budget and being more
No.
secure. So I think we've seen a lot of companies start to move towards this. Hopefully, in the next few years, all companies will just do this by default.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll keep an eye on it. But then the third one is vendor partnerships, right? So, like our tool manages Windows, Mac, Linux. We have robust partnerships with a lot of those operating system manufacturers, so especially Apple and Microsoft. So we get early access to vulnerabilities. We get early access to operating system builds, especially for Apple. So we can ensure that we have day zero support for new versions and there's no gap in management, patching, anything like that. Um, so let's jump in, Henry, just really quickly to um, the security culture uh, perspective. And I think the biggest thing to highlight here is security culture is not about buying a bunch of really cutting edge tools. I would hazard a guess that pretty much every modern SaaS company has a ton of security tools in there, and like some do a better job than others. Um, so I'm curious, like in your mind, what is security focused from your perspective? Like when we say like this company is focused on security of their own platform, like what does that mean to you?
The company's security focused. I guess so you're asking like
Like if I
what
say, oh, our engineering team really cares about security. We do a great job on security. Um, I think when a lot of companies say that, they're probably talking about like, oh, we have, tools embedded throughout the engineering process to like point out stuff that we did wrong, and then we go back and fix it sometimes.
right.
But I think for us, the cultural like we obviously have those tools like every other company. But what makes us take it a step further? What do we do from an engineering perspective with the culture that helps us to stand out?
I think we really try to meet developers or like engineers, where they are. So when I say that, I mean like we're not trying to like create new processes without talking to them first. We're not trying to embed these tools into their workflows without having any discussion at all. We really try to be collaborative and understand, what are they doing currently? What are their workflows? What's working well for them? What's not working well for them? And I try to really or we, I should say, try to really pose it as like a collaborative relationship, like help me help you, develop software in a more secure fashion, but also keep the velocity and keep you going as fast as, and not like putting any roadblocks in your way. I think we do a really good job of balancing that, which helps us stand out. And that's one example.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious about that one. If we could dig in a little bit, because I think
Yeah.
the perspective in a lot of the industry with like software engineers is like IT and security are just going to come in and like tell me I can't do this thing or like tell me I
Yes.
have to do it a different way.
Yep.
It's like, how do you go about kind of building that rapport where like there's really a stronger trust between you and engineering where they're like, oh, Henry and the team really care about me building as quickly as possible. And like they're trying to protect the reputation of the business and like my reputation as an engineer and building secure software.
Yeah. So another example too, especially if you're a developer, is, oh, the security team is throwing this like report at me that says like my app has all these vulnerabilities in it, but it really doesn't. Like, security, go away. That's a really common thing. What do we do? What do we do to kind of foster that relationship and kind of gain that trust? So, personally, here at Automox, I have found like profound success with like almost like a grassroots effort. And when I say that, I mean like reaching out to people individually, finding out who are like the main contributors at the company. Who do people look to? Who's getting work done? Who's committing code all the time? Who's doing the stuff? And I try to build relationships with them. And like even just a simple coffee chat. Like when I first came on board here, one of my main focuses was application security. And immediately what I tried to do was start coffee chats and identify those people and those champions. A lot of times people have a security champions program. So, just trying to identify those people and lean on them when you need them. And then also, I think just telling people like, hey, like reminding them, I'm here to help. I want to collaborate. Like we're not the department of no. I'm not here to slow you down. And I recognize how important it is that you are not slowed down. Like I'm on board. I agree with you. I don't want to do that to you. So let's work together and like meet somewhere in the middle. And yeah, I think too long didn't read. Grassroots effort is
Yeah.
really the main thing.
That's really funny. It's very similar to your advice on breaking into the industry, which is basically like put yourself out there, talk to people, figure out
I
what they're
mean,
doing, and demonstrate real interest in that.
if you just, yeah, like, I mean, we're all human beings at the end of the day. Like, we're all like living on Earth, we're all trying to like do our job. And I don't know, it sounds like cliche, but it's true. If you're just like a decent person and you are collaborative and you're a team player and you're like rowing in the same direction and like you show that, you're gonna find success in a lot of places, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice. And I know we're coming close to time here, so I want to ask one more question and then we'll close things out. But obviously I'm sure you don't just like conjure up all these like things that we should be doing to improve the security of the product on your own, right? Like it's not completely on you to like secure, all of Automox, right? So I'm curious, like for the entire IT and security team here, um, how are you all going about trying to figure out like what's the best way to do things? What are other people doing? How do you shortcut some of the maybe painful learning experiences that other companies have had and apply those here?
So it's funny because it's the same theme that I've had throughout, and that's having connections. And like, so I'm serious. So, like Automox, for example, we're involved in a lot of different communities and a lot of different like threat intel groups, a lot of like threat intel sharing groups, for example. Me personally, like I mentioned, I lean on a lot of prior colleagues, and I kind of lean on like it's almost like a social network of security professionals, and I find that too is extremely helpful. Even like Slacks, like public community Slack groups that you can find, maybe for a particular tool or like a security framework that you like, or like for example, like OWASP for if you're in application security. That's a great Slack public Slack channel, or not channel, but the Slack instance to be part of, because you can glean a lot of insights from like real people having real problems like currently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just like really leaning on those connections and the network, and just kind of having like that social. Yeah, I don't know. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Just we're all working together.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing here, right, is although you may be competing with a different business and like you may be in the same industry, I think ultimately nobody wants to see another business have to go
Oh,
through a security incident or a breach. Um,
we've
and
worked with Ninja One's security team to share threat
yeah,
intel.
yeah.
Like
And I
that's
think
how much we care.
that's what's great about the security and IT space is
Yeah.
like everyone works together. And I think if we do more information sharing and best practice sharing, we can all be more secure. And that's what we should strive for. We should compete on the products that we build, not on
Right.
reputational damage from a breach or incident.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, wow, this was a really wholesome podcast. I didn't see it
I
go in
know.
this direction. Just everyone work together, talk to each other, build a community. That's really the takeaway I think from today.
I mean, yeah, like I've personally seen great success here at Automox, in other parts of my career. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all I can say about it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Henry, for joining us on this month's product talk. If you're interested in the security questionnaire topic, like how to build them to actually matter and hopefully make the tools that you buy more secure, let us know if that's an interesting topic to you, and we could potentially cover that in the future here. But really appreciate your time today, Henry, and we'll talk to you all again soon.
Of course, and if anyone out there wants to get advice, or like wants more information about how to break into the industry or anything like that, just want to talk shop, please don't hesitate to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I would love to chat. So
Excellent. That is a great shout out. Yep, Henry's on LinkedIn. I think you can just find him through our company page, obviously. So hopefully, at least a few of you reach out. It's a genuine ask. I promise that.
yes, so
Excellent. Well, thanks everybody. Have a great month, and we'll talk to you again next month.
all right, see ya.